Good evening. Welcome to the participants. Hope you are able to see me and able to hear me. Good evening. Welcome to the participants. Hope you are able to see me. We will start with our program. Today's topic selected is a very important topic in professionals. In fact, planning is an engine for supply chain mechanism. So, in the planning, one of the core aspect is MRP with the expansion material required planning. Of course, some of you might be aware there is one more MRP, which is maximum retail price. But here, what we are seeing is with respect to material planning or inventory planning or supply planning, you can take it in any way you want, but ideally we are trying to arrange the material uh, for required for the maybe for the production plant. Here, the supply chain considers a manufacturing line as an integral to the supply chain. Maybe if you are thinking a e-commerce company, they don't integrate with the manufacturing plant because they are only distribution companies. But for manufacturing companies, you need a better material planning. Then only you can service the customers. So I am going to give you a brief overview about material requirement planning. If you need more information, maybe you can contact our executives. In fact, we arrange a 1 day, 2 day training program on topics like MPS and MRP, which is a big topic. Of course, here we are not talking about training in any ERP module that we will be able to guide you how to do it economically. But here, what we are training is on the processes required for supply chain planning. So let me connect with the screen now. It may take a few seconds. Just hold on. MRP is also a module in most of the ERPs. Okay, used mainly for material planning. We will see some basic aspects about MRP in the program. For distribution type of requirement, the material planning is done generally using one more process called DRP. So that is distribution requirement planning, normally used by distribution companies as well as the e-commerce companies. Okay, hope we are experience in working with the major MNCs. You can see in my profile. Apart from that, I am a trainer consultant in the last few years. I am APIX certified and also a certification from Demand Driven Institute, also a project management professional. But I'm more into the consulting and training nowadays. If anyone wants any information, you can always approach me. You can type in the comment if you need some information. So before we start going into MPS, let us understand the overall structure of planning in organizations. Generally, it starts with the strategic planning. Of course, that is not visible in the slide. Then goes to the production planning, or nowadays this process is also called SNOP. SNOP is nothing but sales and operations planning. The next in the hierarchy is master production schedule with the abbreviation called MPS. Finally, we come to material requirement planning. So this is what our focus. So in the picture, you can see what is the input and output from this process. Of course, for doing MRP, you should know how SNOP and master production schedule works. Then only you will be able to handle MRP in a very effective way. Okay, so the input comes from master production schedule, and output goes to either to your production planning control or to the vendor. In this slide, you can also see the hierarchy in terms of the level of detail required. It starts with the family at the production plan. When it comes to master production schedule, it could be end product. Whereas in MRP, we are talking about planning at SKU level, and it is more of a operational level. So maybe in the coming days or coming week, planning is executed using MRP. Okay, and most probably you are also aware about the difference between independent and dependent demand. Independent demand are always forecasted many times unless it is a demand driven. So for example, if you take a car, the number of cars to be produced is a independent demand. On the other hand, the components required for the car, for example, engine, chassis, or even wheels or tires, is a dependent demand. So you don't need to forecast dependent demand, because they are all calculated using MRP. That's where MRP comes into picture. Okay, when you see, the major objective of MRP is determine the requirement to meet the final product, what order, how much to order, when to order, and when to schedule the delivery. These are the contents we are going to get as a output from MRP at a component level. Here we are talking about SKU level, also keeping the priority current, in the sense if there are any changes that has to be prioritized. Okay, as a major input, you have seen in the first slide, we were talking about master production schedule, quantities, and the schedule that deals at a higher level, maybe end product, whereas in MRP we are breaking that. Okay, a term exploding is used in MRP. Okay, so here we need to have the details from master production schedule. Second is the inventory record. Okay, inventory record means possibly we are talking about planning factors such as lead time, order quantity, and safety stock, and the current status of each of this item as a major input. Apart from this, most of you who are in the planning, you should also be knowing about BOM or bill of material for all these items. Okay, these are the inputs for effective planning on MPS. Coming to BOM characteristic, it is a collection of item which is required to make the final product. So here you will see the list of item along with the quantity required. This is one of the essential input for our MRP. So if you see the basic MRP record, this is also called as a grid. In most of the ERP, you will see this type of grid being used for material planning. Even if you have thousands of component, each component will have this grid. You can see on the top it is having a weekly schedule. It need not be weekly schedule, it could be daily or shift or also monthly, depending upon manufacturing lead time for a product. So you have a part number, and there are six line item available in this grid. You can see the first one is the gross requirement. You can see a requirement of 35 numbers coming from the previous process, that is from the master production schedule, and there is no requirement for the first 4 weeks. Okay, this is based on this gross requirement. We are going to work out the other details. For example, finally, we are interested in knowing when to release the order. Okay, that is the output here in the MRP process. We have to release order either to PPC in the case of internal manufacturing, or purchase order in case of external manufacturing. Okay, second item is a scheduled receipt. Maybe you have already placed the order and it is expected to come, and it will come. So you can see a quantity of 20 in the fourth week. So there is something called PAB, projected available balance, which is available in the third row. Possibly when you see the 10 before the week 1, it could be carryover balance from the previous period. And since there is no incoming outgoing, it remains the same till the third week. Whereas in the fourth week, since you are getting 20 numbers, it's getting added to 20. So 10 plus 20, you have total 30 numbers in balance in hand. Now you have a requirement of 35 in the fifth period, but you have only 30 available with you, which means there is a net balance of 5 still required. That's where you get into the fourth row, which is called net requirement. Now we need 5 units to be available in the week number 5. Okay, this is where we have to plan 5 units. You can see the fifth line item saying planned order receipt 5 units and planned order release. Here we are assuming that delivery time is 1 week, and there is no MOQ attached to it. So you are having the assumption that the item is available. Just excuse me. Okay, the MOQ is not there and lead time is 1. So now you are getting the output as 5 numbers has to be ordered on the vendor. Of course, the system as the vendor database, it knows whether we are going to order outside or inside. Accordingly, it releases the order to the vendor. Okay, this is the basic grid. And even today, if you see MRP logic in most of the ERP uses the same grid. Maybe this was introduced some 70 years back, but still as a logic it remains the same, unless the organization has gone to demand driven, which means they have some type of a pull mechanism. But still in India, if you take 80% of the organizations, still they are push based and they use MRP for their material planning. Maybe this is a very simple table. Now this can be extended to multi-layer. and then the it all is calculated by the system. We will do a simple exercise. Maybe if you have understood, you can always see what could be the answer, and maybe you can put the answer in the comments in LinkedIn. Okay. Now assume the lead time for a particular product is 2 weeks and order quantity is 200. So you have a MOQ of 200. Now, what action should be taken is when the item should be ordered and how much. This is the simple table like the previous one. You have the data on gross requirements. So here you can see all the weeks require some items, and also you have a scheduled receipt in week 2. You have a available balance from week 1. So can anyone give the answer when and how much should be ordered based on these details? Maybe you can take a couple of minutes to arrive. Possibly you need a pen, paper, you can enter the details, but calculator is not required. All mind calculation is sufficient. As long as you are able to understand the process, it becomes easy. Can we have the first answer? Who is going to send the first answer? Answer expected is what is the quantity and when it has to be ordered, which week it has to be ordered. Can we see the answers? Before I show the answer, of course, I am going to show you the answer. Anyone has an answer? Hope you have understood the table. If you have the answer, please type in the comments. Let me verify. I am looking for a quantity and when to place order. Mayank says 3 and quantity to be 200 to be ordered in first week. Anyone else has a different answer, or is it Mayank? When you say 3, what does it mean? The week number 3 you are talking, and what is the quantity? Here you please specify the quantity and the schedule. Anyone else has an answer? Milesh says to be delivered in week 3. I am waiting for answer from any other participants. If you are able to solve simple exercise, that will help. Okay, Mike says 200 is the quantity. Okay, we will see the answer solution to this problem. So we are trying to place a order in the week number 1 for 200 units for delivery in week number 3, because you have the lead time of uh, 2 weeks available here. Maybe we will go through how this answer was arrived. So you have a balance of 150 in the beginning, and the first week there is a requirement of 50, so the balance is 100, and you have a scheduled receipt 200, so totally the available balance comes to 300 minus 250, so you have 50 available. But next week, on week 3, you have a requirement of 100 while you have only 50 available with you. Okay, so now you need a net requirement of 50. That's what coming and sitting in the third week. The requirement has to be planned, scheduled. The delivery has to be scheduled in week number 3. So though we need only 50, here MOQ is 200, so we are placing order for 200 to arrive at week number 3, but we have a lead time, so we are going to do this 2 weeks earlier. So in the week number 1, we are going to order 200 for delivery in third week. So now we have a net balance of 150. In the week 4, you need only 50, and still the balance is 100. Hope most of you are able to understand. Are you able to understand? Can you comment if you are able to understand? Okay. So this is how it happens in the system at multi-level. Maybe if you see the bomb, you are having a final product and there are a lot of child components at various level. Maybe the same component is being used at a different level. That's where something called netting happens. Okay, net quantity to manufacture a particular product is released to the order, and as you know, this is being done by a planner with whatever name they may be called, scheduler or material planner. Nowadays they are also called as analyst. Okay, so the responsibility wise, they should be able to launch orders, either production or purchasing, rescheduling orders as required, because this is a dynamic environment. Maybe customers are changing the order quantity or part number, or you have a problem in the production, maybe some material has not come, or a skilled operator is not available. So it's a dynamic function. Okay, possibly there may be some errors, so find out what is the root cause of those errors and solve critical material shortage. Here planning role is also to ensure timely availability of material, but in practice there can be lot of practical problem, that material has not come or there is a quality rejection. So we need some type of a expedition is required. Okay, maybe replanning is not a solution. Possibly we have to do that at a later stage. Maybe expedite could be important one. If nothing is feasible, of course replan happens, and coordinate with other function to resolve problem. Of course, this is very important. Possibly you are going to check with the purchase whether any other vendor is available, or you are going to discuss with your design function to check whether any alternate substitute material can be done. Okay. So there is a question from Mayank asking, what about the buffer? At this stage, we are not going to discuss buffer. It happens in the previous process, that is at the master production schedule. So if we, maybe in the future sessions, we are going to also cover master production schedule. I request you to attend. At the MRP, we are not discussing any type of a buffer at this stage. Hope you are connected with me in LinkedIn. You can also visit our site known as expertsem.net, and you can see the WhatsApp help numbers. We do lot of training projects on specific to supply chain. You may not be able to get similar training at this type of cost in online, either live or recorded session. Many of them also available in a economical mode at a very cheaper price. Please visit our site. You will see lot of options, especially if you need this type of critical things like MPS or MRP. You will never find any information on that. On this topic, up to 8 to 16 hours training can be provided. Apart from that, we provide training for any global certification which are required. You can always reach out either through this WhatsApp number, or you can send a message in my LinkedIn profile. Hope this information has helped. If it has helped you, please comment so that I can plan future live events, Also, if you are interested in particular topic, you are welcome to type the topic. If somebody wants the slide, you have to make a Google review about our program so that I can send the slide, and also possibly Excel template also can be provided. Okay, thanks for your participation. Bye, have a nice weekend. You are always welcome to make a review or provide your topics required for the next session. If you make a Google review, you will also get this PPT along with the Excel template.